Let me start, and I'm recording again.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Welcome to Milliken Mills High School. What we're going to take you is a very brief journey on our data dive that we've been doing with our school for the last couple of years. This started 2 years ago when we started to look at the system survey data, and staff were surprised when they read things about students not feeling safe in the building and other comments. To bring some reality to those statements, we got entered into individual conversations with students, and we had a racialized group that worked together. We had a English language learner groups that worked and focused more on what they were telling us, brought that back to our staff. Further from that, we then invited students to a staff meeting where staff sat and had a facilitated conversation one-on-one with students. Next steps with that was developing a student profile. With our student profiles, a staff member will contribute to a student's profile and add information. At a staff meeting, we lay these all out at the table. One staff member stands next to the student, and we can talk more about the child and add details to the students. In the fall, we started looking at the DAP and the MIPSA and started to make some meaning for that for us as a school. Did some exploratory work as a whole school, then bundled in as a group of department heads. At the department heads, we sit in tables of 4. Tables were assigned one of the quadrant from the DAP or the MIPSA. And to work our way through this, we can see that with the equity inclusivity, if you were working at that table, we said, what does that look like, feel like, sound like at our school? Asked them to reflect personally about that, then we shared it back at the table level about what does this look like, feel like, sound like at the school, leading to a much deeper understanding where we have the 4 different tables, respondents look like, feel like at the school, and that finished up January. Came back in February, we wanted to turn those what does this look like, feel like, sound like in our school into goals. Had some false starts. If we were to look at one of the goals in the top corner there, it said that for mental health and well-being, they looked at supervision in the hallways, which we thought, no, maybe this is more expanding opportunities into the instructional program to explore growth mindset, resilience, habits of mind to support student success. This is live. This will be tonight's work. We're going to go back and say, with these goals, how do we turn these into actionable? So if we were looking at the first one, does our goal define what we're trying to improve and achieve? How will our goals represent an student learning need? In what ways do our goals connect with and support the BIPSA? And finally, the success criteria. How do we know that we've achieved them? Interesting opportunity came about to our family of schools facilitated through our superintendent in December. The family of schools looked at some data that EQAO had put together for a sample school, and we used that to tunnel in to learn about a school and how to make meaning of data. Our takeaway was, hey, this is neat. Could we do this at our own school? And so what we challenged our staff to do was, do we want to come back and do a data dive? And we did a little bit of a carrot piece. We said, in January, so January 31st specifically, you can either do an exam duty or we can tunnel into the data. So we had a group of folks that came together, went right through a game. We went through performance data, perceptual data, student achievement data, and tried to develop an understanding of our school. EQAO scores, we looked at it the 5 years running. We looked at, as we said, perceptual context, who's the kids in our building, what language do they speak. And then we had this template. EQAO had put together one called Sunshine High School. We took all the data of the high school and said, let's put Milliken's data into this. And this became a fun adventure because this was a bit of a Scrabble hunt. And that staff had to find the answer. So down at the bottom it said, how many of our kids are going to university and college? And they would say, well, where do we find that? I said, well, why don't you go and ask guidance? They had to run to guidance. They had to go up to see the DQM. So that came to a place where we then put together questions about our school, amalgamated the questions together, and came up with 4 different goals. A lot of the goals, you'll see that it all connects to math, and where we're going next is how do we bring more meaning to the school. Thanks for joining us with Milliken and our data dive.